Chapter 48. Amanda. They strolled with their hands locked together, guns strapped across their backs along an unbeaten path, surrounded by towering trees and chirping birds. The beauty of nature overwhelmed John and Amanda with a sense of awe. They stopped to feel the gentle breeze caressing their faces, inhaling the sweet fragrance of flowers and damp earth. Sunlight danced through the leaves, and they paused more than once to admire it all. With each step, they felt more connected to the natural world around them, grateful for its breathtaking beauty. John tenderly rested his hand on Amanda's swollen belly, causing a flutter of excitement to rush through her body. His touch always had an electric effect on her, even after all these months since they exchanged vows. More so, if she was honest. Their love, like the growing baby inside her, blossomed. Amanda still couldn't wrap her mind around the fact that this was her life, and John Wilder was her man, her partner forever. If they met in the old world, they wouldn't have given each other a second thought. John wasn't the type of man Amanda usually went for. She preferred medium-height men with light hair and a preppy style, like Ben Holland if she was being truthful. John was essentially the opposite of what she typically went for. He was strong, with a bulky physique and completely shaven head, a contrast to her delicate features with her pale skin, short, fiery hair, and petite frame. But the moment she looked into his strange, grayish-blue eyes, she fell hard, and although their height was just as contrasting as their looks, they fit perfectly together. The missing pieces of each other's souls they didn't realize were missing.
"Today's guest, boy or girl?"
John asked, looking down at her, his face alight with happiness. His large hand stroked her belly, his pride radiating off of him. She placed her hand on top of his, loving the contrast of their skin against each other, and how his hand was more than double the size of hers. It made her feel protected from everyone and everything outside of themselves. Her lover, this man, her husband.
Boy,
she exclaimed.
You?
John crouched down and pressed his ear against Amanda's rounded stomach. She cupped her hand on his smooth head, relishing the comforting weight of it against her, as he waited to hear if the tiny life inside her would share its secrets with him.
"Hello, Nicole."
His voice vibrated through Amanda's loose shirt, tickling her.
Nicole?
She giggled, loving this game they played with each other.
"Samantha? Emily?"
He, standing up and wrapping her in his arms. Amanda fell into them like it was the safest place she could ever be.
I think Daniel.
She pressed her face against his muscular chest, inhaling his intoxicating scent that made her long to be even closer to him.
"Daniel Wilder. I like that."
John's voice rumbled in his chest, causing Amanda to smile.
Daniel Jonathan Wilder,
she said, looking up into his amazingly light eyes, hoping their child would inherit them. John leaned down and pressed his lips against hers, feeling the familiar warmth and passion as they melted together. They couldn't get enough of each other, staying locked in a kiss and dreaming of what their future child would look like. The sound of something cracking in the woods ahead caused them to freeze and reach for their guns, primed for danger. Amanda gasped. Leah stood before them, her hands held up in a gesture of surrender. Behind her stood a tall native man, his stance unwavering as he aimed a shotgun directly at them. Without hesitation, the two women closed the distance between them and tightly embraced each other, as if they had been separated for years. John stood motionless, his gun pointed at the unfamiliar person standing next to Leah. They both remained frozen as the two women embraced, tears streaming down their faces.
Where have you been?
Amanda's hands brushed against Leah's long blonde hair, as if she couldn't believe that Leah was standing there.
Did you get my letter? Where's Adam? You need to come with us. You need to come with us to the decree.
Yes, I got it, Leah said, pulling away and wiping her eyes. She straightened herself, catching her breath, before she continued. Amanda, I need you to listen. The decree is not what you think. John glanced at Amanda, who gave him a familiar, disappointed look that said, Oh no, not this again. Leah glanced back at the man standing next to her, but his face showed nothing but contempt and anger. Feeling uneasy, Amanda worried about the kind of person Leah was getting involved with. What was she mixed up in? Where had she been for all of these months, and where on earth was Adam? How could Leah not have him by her side?
Please, tell me you aren't part of them.
Leah's voice quavered. Amanda noticed the look of terror in her eyes as she glanced at John's imposing figure. John's size was intimidating, but the expression on Leah's face held a level of fear that Amanda had never witnessed before.
A part of what? The decree? I know you think that they are some kind of cult or something, but listen, Leah, it's not like that.
Leah pulled away from her, stepping closer to the man she was with.
Are you serious?
She asked, looking stunned and appalled.
They murdered everyone in Lex, slaughtered them and left them to rot in the streets. That is ridiculous,
Amanda said, watching the rage deepening on the man's face.
Leah, are you safe? Where is Adam? I've been sick with worry. Is this man holding you against your will?
What? The look on Leah's face was one of pure astonishment, as if Amanda was speaking a different language. She felt a chill come over her. The way Leah looked at her, it was as if they existed in different universes. Amanda and John stood in one world, while Leah and the tall man with long, dark hair stood in another.
Lulu, it's better for you and Adam to come to the compound. I know Ben has been a complete ass, but you have to understand if you are going to be part of this new world, you have to be part of the decree. It's for your own good.
She begged.
Do you hear yourself? Do you actually hear the words coming out of your mouth?
Leah asked in shock and disbelief, as she stepped closer to the man.
When I went back into town and found your letter, do you know what else I found? Besides destruction and chaos? Do you know what I saw that day while fleeing the city with Adam?
Amanda's head shook involuntarily as she hesitated to hear what Leah had to say next. A sense of dread crawled up her neck.
Do you have any idea what I had to drive past with my little boy in the back seat?
John was suddenly beside Amanda, ready to stand in front of her and the assault of words Leah was pelting them with. She noticed the man's chest rising and falling as his face contorted with outrage as Leah spoke each word. What was she talking about? What did she mean? The city was fine. Why was Leah talking like the world was under attack?
It was a little boy, Amanda. A little boy. Not much older than Adam. Lying dead like roadkill in the street. You need to go into town and see for yourself. See what the decree you have joined really is.
Amanda's hand flew to her stomach protectively.
That's a lie!
John yelled, putting his arm around Amanda's shoulders, pulling her into the safety of his embrace.
I am a soldier of the decree.
With a sudden movement, the stranger pulled out his gun and aimed it directly at John, the loud click of the safety catching John's attention. In response, John quickly drew his own gun and pointed it right back at the other man.
Stop it, John, stop it!
Leah turned back to the man, motioning him to lower his gun, but he didn't move a muscle, keeping his gun focused on John, both equal in height and strength.
This is bullshit! No such thing has happened. I would know about it.
John's voice boomed, his own anger rising. Leah shook her head, placing a hand on her forehead in disbelief. Amanda knew her truth, and that was that the decree changed her life for the better. But Leah never lied to her. Well, not really. She hadn't always been completely truthful in the past about her relationship with Ben, claiming everything was fine when it wasn't. She was always black or white, making light of Ben's infidelity, then blowing up seeing him with Malcolm at the stadium. So maybe she was being dramatic about this? Adam's face came to Amanda's mind. Leah would do anything to protect him. Amanda knew that for certain. She shook her head, confused, feeling disconnected from everything. None of it making sense.
If you are a member of the decree, then you know I'm telling you the truth.
Leah pointed her finger at John, who recoiled, appalled, unable to hide his reaction to her words.
We are prominent members of the decree. We would know. This is crazy talk. We are protecting the people of Lex from rebels.
Amanda paused, realizing how infrequently she and John ventured outside of the compound. The recent permission to go on hunting trips was rare. Despite John's eagerness to join the other soldiers on their rounds outside of the compound, they always told him they needed him within the walls to protect the members from the dangerous and violent rebels outside. People like Leah. Amanda and John couldn't understand the logic behind it. After all, John was a trained military man, physically imposing and capable. So why did they insist on keeping him at the compound? But they were newlyweds and wrapped themselves in the little cocoon they created inside the compound, all questions forgotten as they basked in the new life laid out to them by Malcolm Gobo. Besides, as Malcolm would say, the members were precious and needed to be protected from the infiltration that had taken over the district of Lex. When it came to this important task, only a chosen few soldiers were trustworthy enough. And at the head of them all was none other than Malcolm's most loyal soldier, John Wilder. It was an honor, a prominent position in the decree. Amanda despised the unsettling sensation churning in her gut. It left her with doubts, causing her to question if there could be truth in Leah's words. She placed her hand on her stomach, trying to calm the little life inside and the growing doubts that were sparking. Or was it always there, buried and neglected on purpose? Leah's eyes followed her hand and widened with realization. Amanda smiled weakly, wanting so much to share this special moment in her life with her best friend.
Amanda, how could I...
Leah stumbled over her words, feeling mortified as she realized she had failed to notice her friend's obvious baby bump. Amanda nodded and leaned into John's firm body. He wrapped an arm protectively around her shoulder, allowing her to use his frame as an anchor. Tears trickled down her cheeks, and she wiped them away with a little laugh. After all this time, she could finally share with Leah that she was having a baby, her best friend in the entire world, besides John. The one person she'd been wanting to tell, even more than her parents she hadn't spoken to in months.
Do you think I would risk my baby, Leah? Do you think I would risk my child any more than you would risk Adam?
Leah's lips were pressed tightly together, trying to prevent the sobs that Amanda could see her struggling to keep in. The man looming behind her shifted his weight, impatient, as if he were in a rush and had something important to do.
"We have to go,"
he said in his deep voice, his gun still aimed at John. Leah approached Amanda and enveloped her in a warm, tight hug. The two women stood amidst the tall trees of the forest, their bond of friendship unbreakable despite their differing beliefs. The sunlight peeked through the leaves, casting a soft glow on their faces as they embraced, each feeling the familiar comfort and support from the other's arms, untouched by the chaos of the outside world. Amanda savored the feeling of Leah's presence, closing her eyes and inhaling deeply. Leah leaned in and touched her lips to Amanda's cheek, almost as if she were going to kiss her, but instead she whispered in her ear,
"You need to uncover the truth, for the sake of your child and yourself."
Leah's voice was low, glancing at John with a worried expression before continuing.
"The man I'm with is Kai Wagamis. He has a compound called Hayden, and his sister is a midwife,"
she whispered, revealing its location.
"Come to me. We'll protect you and the baby."
She kissed her cheek and hugged her one more time before stepping back and facing Kai, glaring impatiently behind them. Leah took one last glance at Amanda before disappearing into the forest with Kai Wagamis, leaving her standing with empty arms and a longing gaze, vanishing as quickly as she had appeared.
"It's okay, sweetheart."
John's deep voice comforted her from behind as he wrapped his arms around her waist, pulling her in close to his sturdy chest. She leaned her head back, holding in tears that threatened to fall, wondering when she would see her friend again, and still not knowing Adam's whereabouts.
"John, why are you always at the compound? Why doesn't Malcolm want you out on the field? You're better trained than any of these other soldiers. None of them have your background."
She didn't move from his arms, but rested against him as he held her. That was just the way he was. He always listened to her and valued her opinions, genuinely curious about what she had to say. Amanda knew his mind must be racing with all the information Leah had revealed. How could he not? Her own thoughts were swirling with all that Leah said.
"Honey, I never want to be away from you. You and the baby's safety are my top priority. If I was out with the other soldiers, I'd barely see you."
Amanda turned to her husband, seeking comfort in his embrace. She knew that what he said was true, but she couldn't help wondering why Malcolm didn't want John and the others at the compound to leave. What was he hiding? She hugged John, feeling their unborn child kicking inside of her. It was a surreal feeling, knowing that their baby would enter the world soon. John leaned down and kissed the top of her head, and she closed her eyes, suddenly filled with worry for the first time since they said their vows.
"It's gonna be all right, baby. We're on the right side. Your friend will come around. Besides, She's Ben's wife and the mother of his son.
I suppose. Amanda hesitated, unsure if she still believed it. She could feel the rapid thumping of John's heart, now stronger and faster than it was before their walk. I suppose... She trailed off, her thoughts drifting to the location where Leah had mentioned Hayden would be. She made a mental note of it, not wanting to bring it up to John just yet.